You see this? You see this? This is a passport. This is your birthright, all right? It's your right to be able to travel this earth, this world that we are from. We are all creatures of this earth. Countries aside, those are just invisible borders, right? Fake names. It's not real. We're from the earth. The animals don't have nationalities. They don't have passports, right? They travel freely. A creature in Africa doesn't know that they're in Africa. A squirrel here in Kentucky doesn't know that it's in the United States, all right? They're just living their life. We're all from this earth. We have the right to travel. But putting that aside, if you're from a country like the US, the UK, Europe, Australia, Japan, you have been gifted with a very, very, very strong passport, okay? From the US and Europe and Japan, I know these passports are ranked very high. If you look at the website Passport Index, you can see all the passports in the world, and you can see how many countries each nationality can go to. Japan, US, Europe, Canada, Australia, these countries are all at the very top. They're always at the top, okay? We can go to many countries. We can go to like 200 countries, okay? If you're from Australia or Europe or something, you can probably go to even more. The US has some limitations because we have some bad relationships with countries in the Middle East, but still, we can visit and be a tourist, be a traveler, even live and work in so many countries, okay? Not only that, but some of the other countries in the world, they can't visit many countries, right? I used to live in Vietnam. I lived in Vietnam as an English teacher and also working online for more than 2 years, okay? I had a lot of Vietnamese friends. And do you know what percentage of Vietnamese people are going to get to travel outside of Vietnam in their life? Probably 1%, maybe 1%, okay? Because in Vietnam, you don't make a lot of money. So it's really not easy to save enough money to take a trip like that. And out of the 1% of people that get to travel, if they're lucky, maybe they can go to Thailand, right? Because Thailand is not far, and it's one of the places that Vietnamese people can easily go to. I think they don't even need a visa. They can just go in and out of Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. And Thailand, it's around the same price as Vietnam, maybe a little bit more. But if people in Vietnam, the 1%, like I said, if they can travel, they can usually go to Thailand for a week or a few days. I have a friend that went to Thailand. He's a Vietnamese. He went to Thailand for, I think, 1 or 2 weeks. And the only reason that he was able to stay there that long is because he was living at Buddhist temples, right? So he wasn't paying for food. He wasn't paying for rent. All he had to pay for was the plane ticket to go there and come back. And the reason he stayed there so long is because he was staying there for free. So just to tell you, just to explain to you, right? That's crazy that their passport is so weak that they just don't have the ability to travel to many places very easily. Not only that, like I said, Vietnam, the salary is also very low compared to countries like the US, Europe. But their passport is also low. And it's very difficult, for example, for a Vietnamese person to travel to the US. But for a person to the US, from the US, we can travel to so many countries so easily. Canada, no visa, just show up. Mexico, no visa, just show up. So many countries in Central America, South America, Europe. I can show up to any country in the Shenzhen area with no visa. I don't need to tell anyone that I'm coming. I can just book a flight to Portugal and just show up, right? And they just let me in. I say, hey, what are you doing in Portugal? Oh, I'm just traveling for 2 weeks. Okay. Have fun, right? I can go to Japan, South Korea. Don't need to tell anyone. Just show up. Thailand, Malaysia. Don't need to tell anyone. Just show up. Eastern Europe, right? So many countries. I can just show up and just go freely, travel there. Almost like I'm traveling here, right? And even there are so many countries that have a e-visa, right? But that's easy too. I just do it online. 20 minutes, apply for the visa, check my email. In a few days, I got the visa, right? Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. That's an e-visa. Just show up. Then you have to wait in a line for 1 or 2 hours. Okay? Have fun. You know? So we're so privileged. If you are from, like I said, US, UK, Europe, Canada, Australia, Japan, we have such strong passports. You know, I feel there's a reason we were born with where we're at. That's just what I believe. I believe everything happens for a reason. We're born where we're born for a reason. So we have this. Let's make the best use of it. Let's use it. Let's travel. Let's not waste this. We have such an amazing opportunity. Let's use it and go explore the rest of the world, because we're gifted with that. So we should do that. We should take advantage of this amazing opportunity that we've been given. You know, people in North Korea, it's not very easy for them to get a passport. People in Iran, the Middle East, you know, some of these governments that are a lot more, I'm not going to say more corrupt, because the US government is also very, very corrupt, but it's just not easy for people from a lot of nations to get a passport. And that sucks. That's fucked up. Everyone on this earth should be able to travel freely. So, like I said, we're really privileged. We should definitely take advantage of this opportunity that we've been given to have a strong passport. All right, so now let's talk about perspective and learning and growth. I've been traveling a lot for the past 5 years. Okay, I'm in the US right now. I've barely been in the US in the last 5 years. I've barely been here. I've been mostly in Asia, a little bit in Mexico, a little bit in Europe, a little bit in Africa, a little bit in the Middle East, but mostly in Asia. But I've really barely been in the US. I fell in love with traveling. So, and because I've barely been in the US, it means I've been in many different places, which means I've been forced to see many different things. And I have learned and grown so much as a person, like so much. Every year, not even every year, every few months, I'm like a completely different person. And before, in 2018, when I got my passport and I had not left the US yet, I've never been outside the US, I did not know shit about anything else in the world, about politics in other countries, about food and culture in other countries. You know, you see things on the news, you see things in movies, you see things on YouTube, but this is really not a good depiction because you're not seeing it for yourself with your own eyes, right? So we can watch documentaries, cultural documentaries, you can learn something, I guess, but really the experience of being in another country and just seeing how people act, how people look, different facial structures, people that don't look like you, right? They have different hairstyles and they wear these crazy outfits that you've never seen, and they all sit on the ground eating food with their hands and things that we're not used to. This stuff just, it opens our minds. It opens our eyes. It's like unlocking something, seeing something that we've never seen before. This is what causes us to grow, is putting ourselves in these new situations, these situations that may be uncomfortable in the beginning because it's unfamiliar. And we're kind of like, what is that? And eventually we see and we understand, like, there's different ways to live. The way that I was living back in the US is not the way that people are living here in Vietnam, right? And we can make comparisons and we can see, oh, the local people of this country are not fat. There's like no fat people. There's no one here that's overweight. Why is that? And we look at how they're eating. Oh, they're eating lots of rice and noodles and vegetables and fruits. We compare that. I compare that to how people are eating back in the US. Like, no one's really eating rice. Everyone's eating potato chips, burgers, pizza, steak, fried chicken, right? So I think this is really important to just understand about the other beings on this earth, okay? I'll share my opinion again. I feel we are all a collective consciousness, and everything that I do affects everything else on this earth. And everything that my neighbor does affects me, and it affects all my other neighbors, and that's what I believe. Therefore, I want to see what's going on in the world. Okay? I want to go to other countries and I want to see what's happening. Why not? These are other beings that are sharing the earth with me. These are other humans. I want to see their language. I want to see what they eat. I want to see how they think. And when we see how other people do things and how other people think, it can just give us ideas. It can give us creativity. We can learn something and just feel like, wow, no one ever talks about this kind of philosophy in the US. If you're raised as a Christian, right? I was raised just down there, going to church 2 times a week for 9 years at a Catholic school, right? So I was raised Catholic, and all we were taught about was heaven and hell and do this, don't do this. It's just really yes, no, yes, no. And then when I started traveling in Asian countries, I started learning about Buddhism. And this is less of a religion and more of a philosophy. And it talks about, don't eat animals. And yeah, it was just more laid back. And I just saw that the people in Vietnam and Thailand that were practicing this, that they weren't so extreme like a lot of the Catholics and the different forms of Christianity are in the US. They were just more laid back, and I felt like they had some good principles. And yeah, it's just fascinating to go somewhere and see that people are thinking in a different way and they're acting in a different way. And it's affecting their happiness, compared to where you're from. I think it's just really important to see things from a different perspective. Okay, so we've talked about it's a privilege. We have a good opportunity. If we're from one of these countries with a strong passport, we have a really great opportunity to travel, all right? It opens up new perspective, gives us new ideas, creativity, seeing how other people live, growing, learning. We got all that, right? But the real reason why you might want to get this, what's happening right now? What's happening where you're from? What's happening where I'm from? I'm in the US. The politics and the politicians and the government here has been shit for a long time, all right? And right now, there's just a lot of polarity, a lot of polarization, okay? There's mass shootings happening all the time. People get shot where I'm from every day in Louisville, Kentucky. There's murders all the time. There was a mass murder at a bank just a few months ago. It's dangerous. It's crazy. People are unpredictable. People are, everyone's just overweight and they're manipulated by politicians or the media, or they're just watching TikTok all the time. Like, I just don't have a lot of faith in where I'm from right now. I want this just as like a just in case, you know, just in case things start getting worse and some kind of civil war breaks out. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, it's so polarized with the Democratic and Republican Party. It's like a civil war could break out. I don't know. Anything's possible. And I want this in case shit hits the fan, in case things start going crazy and I want to get out. I want to have this when I need it. Because if you don't have this when you need it, you're fucked. How are you going to go? You can't go anywhere without a passport. Maybe Canada. Maybe they'll let you in if you have a birth certificate and a driver's license. They used to do that. But after COVID, you probably need a passport. Mexico, no. Well, if you know somebody. But really, you don't know what could happen. You don't know. It doesn't matter if you're from the US like me, or if you're from the UK or Australia, wherever, anywhere. If you can get a passport, you should, because you never know what's going to happen and if you're going to need to leave the country that you're from. It's going to be a lot easier for you to go somewhere else if you have a passport. It's almost impossible to leave without one. I know it sucks right now. I think this cost, I don't know, in 2018, I think it was $120, which is bullshit because it should be free. Like I said at the beginning, it's a human right. Even no countries, like just as a human of the earth, it's our right to be able to go anywhere on this earth. We should be able to go. I don't care about the fences, the walls, the borders. Like, no, this is China. No, this is South Africa. You need to, you know, I don't care about. We're all from the earth. We all came from monkeys that came from these animals, that came from these animals, that came from plants, that came from these bacteria, right? We're all from the fucking earth. So we should all have equal right to be able to go anywhere. That's not how it is. We got to play the rules by the system. Just pay the money. You know what I mean? Ask for the money for your birthday, from your grandma, from your mom, from your dad, for your cousins. Say like, don't give me anything. Don't give me a new sweater or any of this bullshit that I never want or I never use. Just give me some money and I will use it to pay for a passport. All right? It doesn't take very long to get. I don't know how many people are applying right now. When I got mine, it took like 3 weeks. They say it takes between like 2 and 6 weeks. It took like 3 weeks. Okay? Just get it. Just pay for it. Just get it. Even if you don't want to travel, you'll have it in case you ever need it, which I think just is a good enough reason already. But you should travel and you should open your mind and see things outside of the little box that you're living inside of, because that will help you to grow. It will help you to be a more understanding, intelligent, and compassionate person that can see things from different angles, okay? That's how I feel. That's why you should get a passport. So, I hope I convinced you. Mine here is, it's almost full. Like I said, I'm not bullshitting you. I've been traveling for the last 5 years. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. I've grown a lot. I'm the person I am today because I started traveling in 2018. And I've had so many amazing opportunities teaching English in Vietnam, you know, working on farms in different countries and just seeing so many things, meeting so many people. That's a whole nother topic that I could talk about for a whole nother video, but it's really changed my life in so many positive ways, truly. So I highly recommend traveling. If you're looking for more tips and more videos like this around travel, around lifestyle, go ahead and subscribe if you want. Give it a like, it helps it. Yep, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.